up, guys? This is Casey is Raw again, and this is Talking Wrestling with Casey is Raw. And right now, I want to talk about the Chris Benoit situation, or the tragedy. Back in, I guess it happened in 07. I remember, gosh, I was working at Sears, and at this time, WWE was having this thing where they text you news. So I was at work, and I was doing signage, and I got an alert from my phone. It's like WWE just sent me a message. It's like Chris Benoit and his family was found dead at their house. I really didn't know. I thought maybe what happened because I actually had a buddy, Matt Chris Benoit, that used to work at the Civic Center, and he actually talked to Chris Benoit, and he's a nice dude, and this guy also talked to a lot of wrestlers because he was a big wrestling fan. So he's like, yeah, Chris Benoit was awesome. It's like I wouldn't doubt it. The guy seems cool, dude. So and prior, when I got the alert, I was hearing rumors that his family was having. It was through the internet and websites, wrestling websites, saying that Chris Benoit's family was having, food poisoning, and had to take both Nancy and Daniel to the hospital. And it was wild finding out about his passing. I didn't think it was Chris Benoit. I was like, well, I didn't know anything about Nancy except she was a woman. And later on I found, I guess, was it ECW or WCW, she was the fallen angel. So, but I had no idea about her personally, her personality. But I guess I also didn't know about Chris Benoit, his personality behind the scenes. He looked like he was always a nice dude, but I feel like he's kind of like me, where like I could be very private. Like, if I don't know you, it's not like I'm trying to be an asshole or like I'm better than you. If you come up and say hi to me and talk to me, that's one thing. But, because I don't want to give a wrong perception of me. So that's how I feel maybe like Chris was. But, and after I really didn't think it was Nancy, then, it was Chris the whole time, and I was dumbstruck. And it was just, I couldn't believe it. And I heard about Chris Benoit and, was it Kevin Sullivan? They were having a big thing against each other because the whole thing with Nancy. He pretty much, like WWE said, he pretty much booked his own divorce. And that's the thing with the wrestling business. I mean, they work around each other all the time. You got attractive women and, good looking dudes that women are going to be attracted to. And when you're not around your spouse or your girlfriend or whatever, it's really hard to be faithful. And I can kind of understand it, because that's why I never believed in long-term or long-distant relationships, because especially if you're not going to plan to see each other, there's really no point. So, I can see why it's easily for them to get together all the time. And you see all these women wrestlers and the men wrestlers marrying or getting together all the time. So, but back to the whole thing about Benoit, I remember, I was on the deception that the theory that it was Kevin Sullivan. I didn't really think if someone actually broke into the house and, murdered all three. But when I started hearing that Nancy got killed on Friday, Daniel got killed on Saturday, and either he killed himself late. I guess he killed himself on Sunday. So it was like, well, that makes no sense unless the person who broke in stayed around and make him look like frame him. But no, it took me a while to get over the whole. Get over is hard is a bad word for that. I mean, it took me a while to, I guess, get over being stunned about it. I mean, a good 6 months to a year. And probably same amount of time to finally realize it was definitely Chris. And when Vince McMahon was saying, and the other people are like, well, word rage doesn't make sense, because if word rage was going to happen, it's just short term, not days long of rage. It's like, okay, that I understand. I mean, it's possible word rage when he killed Nancy, but I mean, well, it could have been word rage killing Nancy, and then it was Mercy killing his son, even though he could have sent his son to his ex-wife and let the kid grow up with his brother. But, and then obviously he killed himself because, guilty. So, that's the only way I could see if word rage could have happened. Well, I think what happened was he was pretty much losing his mind, especially after he was losing friends. Especially the big one was Eddie Guerrero, and then I guess one of the Public Enemy. Try to remember. Not Rocco Rock, but the other guy who was part of Public Enemy. But, and, all the concussions, and he had CTE. And I feel like CTE was a big part of it. I think that, and, you know, he was just depressed. He was losing all his friends. And then something must have happened when he got home that day with his wife. I mean, spouse kills spouses all the time, or beat up spouses all the time. Not making it right at all, but usually the person who's killing, like if there's a married couple or boyfriend and girlfriend, whatever, it's usually the loved one who did it. But yeah, I really think it's definitely got to be the whole thing with CTE and depression. And it's possible there was some war rage tied into there. It's possible. I mean, he did have steroids in his system when he died. Well, and then he was also I believe, what Dark Side of the Ring. You can't take Dark Side of the Ring's information at face value. Not saying they're trying to feed bad information, but sometimes either the information they're getting from the person's wrong, or, I mean, like the whole thing with, there were several points, like, oh gosh, freaking, the plane ride from hell was a big one. And then Canyon had some misinformation. And I heard during other seasons there was some other misinformation. And then you have like Scott Hall when he was talking about the Montreal screw job, and he was believed into the conspiracy work theory that everyone was inside of the work of the screw job. I mean, there is that theory, but you gotta be stupid if you actually think that was a work. And if it was a work, bravo. I mean, for it to keep on going and not telling us it's, the whole thing was a work, it's wild. But that, I mean, you don't want to trust Dark Side of the Ring's information fully by its face value. Do your own investigation. It's better than relying on just one piece of information from one source. And I feel sometimes that's what happens with Dark Side of the Ring. I mean, they get especially some information that's like 20, 30, 40 years old. Like the whole thing with, oh gosh, Jimmy Snuka, and when they killed his girlfriend back in, was it 83? So, I mean, a murder that took 35 years to finally take, before charges were pressed on Jimmy Snuka. But it is sad. I still can't believe it. I was stunned when I read that text from WWE saying Chris Benoit and Nancy and their kid were all dead. And some people, and I heard this theory from several people, saying it could have been that carbon dioxide poisoning could kill them. I mean, it's possible, but it's wild. It's still like, it's one of those things that really hurt the wrestling business. I don't take what, I love Jericho. He's great. But when he says it almost took down the wrestling business, I'm like, no, it didn't. It put a black eye on the wrestling business, yes, but not to take it down. No, you serious? And then during that time frame, you have a lot of misinformation coming from the news source as well. I mean, God, was it Nancy Grace? She was doing the whole thing with a list of dead wrestlers who died under 40, and they tried to make it everyone died like by drugs or something. But some people had a heart defect or something like that, and then they showed Owen Hart, and like, the guy didn't die from a heart attack. He died from an accident. And actually, gosh, I mean, there were some people who died in car crashes that was on that list as well. So I'm like, and then her agenda was definitely trying to take down the wrestling business, not just WWE, but the wrestling business itself. But I know one thing. I don't know if we'll ever see something as controversial as that again. Well, no, I guess it's possible, but I mean, I guess you could say Bruiser Brody, but that was before my time, and I really never knew Bruiser Brody before, watching YouTube and stuff like that. I mean, I heard of him, but didn't know any information until watching YouTube videos. But I feel like there's always going to be a scandal every once in a while. You always have, like, you have the steroid scandal. And I can't wait to see that on Dark Side of the Ring. And I'll bet you money that they're going to do that. They're going to do the sex scandal. And with the not just the early 80s with with the young boys they did, and some of the other wrestlers who claimed to be fondled or molested or abused wherever. But I guarantee you, they should do one about that. WWE would definitely hate them, and I guarantee you, WWE's already not liking them, because how many of these videos or shows they did that made WWE look bad? I mean, like, you could list several. I mean, the Plane Ride from Hell, and I feel like that was like one of the last generation of people who were just buck wild behind the scenes. I'm pretty positive they're more professional backstage nowadays. But the screw job, the sex scandal. I mean, Well, never mind. They're about to do the steroid scandal. Oh gosh. Trying to remember what else. The Owen Hart tragedy. The Chris Benoit tragedy. And I'm sure there's a few that I'm not thinking. Oh, the whole thing with Superfly scandal. And I'm pretty sure there's probably a couple more. I mean, it's amazing all the shit they've done in the past, and they're still here. But Vince McMahon is a smart business person. He knows how to dodge a bullet with all this bad press against them. And the whole thing with Chris Canyon, I feel I'm definitely on WWE's side about that, because Chris Canyon I agree with Ric Flair and John Cena. His gimmick sucked. I'm sorry. He might be a good wrestler, but his gimmick sucked. But I'm going to let you guys go, so I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.